हेलो एवरीबॉडी, अ वेरी वार्म वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू। आप सभी का स्वागत है हमारे चैनल इंडियन मास कम्युनिकेशन में। इन दिस वीडियो लेक्चर वी आर गोइंग टू कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम वेयर वी लेफ्ट इन द लास्ट वीडियो। सो इन दिस सीरीज ऑफ लेक्चर्स वी आर लर्निंग अबाउट द chronology or history of laws related to press in India, and up till now we have covered till 1878. So this will be in the continuation. This is a very important topic for UGC NET journalism and mass communication. Every year there are two permanent questions every year. So we have with us a lot of people. We have with us Faisal, Priyam, Nandita, Bidhan, Sudeshna, Ayushi, and I can see other people also joining. A very good morning to all of you. I hope you all are doing fine. You all are doing good. So kindly do let me know whether I'm audible. There is no technical issue. Then we shall move forward. Okay, everything is fine. Hello, hi Sujata. Good morning. So dear students, let's have a quick recall of what we have done till now. So in the last few classes we started from 1215. We discussed about several important documents related to freedom of press, fundamental rights. We discussed about Magna Carta, which came in 1215. It was against the unpopular King John. So it was the very first document which laid down the fundamental principles. Then we discussed about licensing order, which was passed in England, which was a kind of pre-censorship. So in reaction to which was written Aeropagitica, which became a landmark document about the idea of freedom of expression. This inspired a lot of thinkers like Mahatma Gandhi. Then Bill of Rights in UK, which also talked about the universal rights. It was very influential documents. A lot of other documents and constitutions borrowed a lot of things from bills of right. We have discussed everything in detail in the last few lectures. I am just running it through all. Okay. Then we discussed about Virginia Declaration of Rights and the amendments in American Constitution. Then we started with the freedom of press or the press laws in India. जब हमने बात करी थी that the history of press in India dates back to 1780. So Bengal Gazette. Okay. Then in 1799 came Censorship of Press Act. इसके बारे में हमने बात करी थी कि there was a threat from the French. There was a lot of miscommunication and fake news which was being spread. So this act was regulated on you can say the British or the people who were in India, but the Britishers who were editing these newspapers like Madras Gazette, then Bengal Gazette, Madras Courier. Then with the rise of vernacular press, we have already discussed about the rise of vernacular press, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Then a lot of newspapers and journals, Digdarshan, Samachar Darpan. It led to licensing regulations in 1823, which were enacted by John Adams. Guys, please also remember the name of the viceroys or the people who introduced these laws. It is very important. Then we learnt about 1835, the Metcalfe Act. So Charles Metcalfe, he was a great thinker, often regarded as the liberator of Indian press. He relaxed all these stringent regulations which were regulated in licensing regulations. This act acted as a regulator instead of you can say the controller. Then after the first war of independence or in 1857, the new act, it was Licensing Act. So Lord Canning, it was a sort of licensing. So any new publisher, he or she had to take the permission from the magistrate, and there were very strict rules. Any new publication were supposed to be published or printed by the permission of government. So also let us look at few PYQs. You can solve this question. So tell me the years. बहुत जल्दी बताइए, थोड़ा टाइम कम है आज हमारे पास. Dear students, it is a very important topic. Please, some people was telling in the comments that please थोड़ा जल्दी कीजिए. जल्दी करने से कोई फ़ायदा नहीं है. Important topic है, इससे क्वेश्चन आना है, मुझे पता है. और आज की जो क्लास होगी, today's class will be the breeding ground of current affairs. So if you go through the description box, you will find 4 articles. I've pinned the link to all of them. You have to go through all of them. In 2013 or in 2023 itself, in December and last 6-7 months, there have been 7-8 new laws which are related to our syllabus. So I can foresee at least 2-3 current affairs from this topic. So kindly take it very seriously. Kindly do let me know about all the years. Jaldi se batao. Press and Registration of Books Act year. अभी आपने इसके बारे में नहीं पढ़ा है, ठीक है, ये हमने ऑलरेडी कवर कर लिया है. सो दिस वाज 1860 इंडियन पिनल कोड एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ प्रेस एक्ट, इट वाज 1867. वेरी गुड. सो पहले कौन सा आया फिर? सो प्रेस एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन of Books Act is 1867. It has been repealed and replaced by another act which is a current affair. अब इस बार जो क्रोनोलॉजी आएगी ना उसके अंदर नए एक्ट्स पूछेंगे आपसे. दिस 18 इंडियन पीनल कोड कर ही किया था ना हमने, ठीक है. चलो आगे देखते हैं. अभी आपको ये 2 एक्ट्स के बारे में पता है, इंडियन पीनल कोड के बारे में एंड प्रेस एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ बुक्स एक्ट. तो 1860 पहले आया था. सो दिस शुड बी करेक्ट ऑप्शन अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट वी नो टिल नाउ, ठीक है. इंडियन पीनल कोड, देन केम प्रेस एंड रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ बुक्स एक्ट 1867, ठीक है. अभी हम और इन एक्ट्स के बारे में भी देखेंगे, पर अगर आपको इनमें से 2 के बारे में पता है, यू कैन स्टिल सॉल्व द क्वेश्चन, ठीक है. आई विल कम बैक टू दिस क्वेश्चन अगेन. देन हु वाज द लिबरेटर ऑफ इंडियन प्रेस? सी, दिस इज अ डायरेक्ट PYQ. डोंट वरी अबाउट दोज विच वी haven't yet discussed about. Who was the liberator of Indian press? अभी हमने बात करी थी चार्ल्स मेटकॉफ 1835. वेरी गुड. ओके, इसके बारे में अभी हमने पढ़ा नहीं है, जब पढ़ेंगे तब देखेंगे. इंडियन पीनल कोड केम इनटू फोर्स इन द ईयर. देखो डायरेक्ट PYQ, this has been asked in your exam. Why Sudeshna? Why are you saying 1847 wrong? अच्छा, आप पुराना आंसर दे रहे हो. गाइज काइंडली टाइप द ऑप्शन और पहले 3-4 वर्ड लिखो. मुझे कैसे समझ आएगा आप 2-3 क्या कर रहे हो? 1860 ना? यस, गुड. चलिए ये सब आपने सॉल्व कर लिया. सो इफ़ यू आर न्यू टू माई चैनल, माई नेम इज़ तुषार गोयल. आई एम अ PhD रिसर्च स्कॉलर एट सेंटर फॉर मीडिया स्टडीज JNU. You can consider subscribing to our channel if you are a media scholar, media aspirant. There is a Telegram group where we post a lot of notification. There is a website, there is an application on Google Play Store where you can find a lot of PDFs, digital access to PDFs and a lot of PYQs with detailed explanations. So the links to all of them will be in the description box. So चलिए आज हम आगे बढ़ते हैं, शुरू करते हैं जहाँ से कल से छोड़ा था. Okay, we have already discussed about Indian Penal Code. So this will be replaced. This has already been replaced with a new law, Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which will be enforced from July of 1st. So there are articles in this description और हमने इसके बारे में लास्ट क्लास में बात करी थी. Kindly go through them, ठीक है. चलिए आज हम शुरू करेंगे 1878 से. Right. So 1878 Sea and Customs Act, it regulated the custom duties and procedures for goods entering and leaving India through its seaports. So we have to look at it from the perspective of media law. When we look at media, we also have to look at the paraphernalia of media or the equipments or things which help the organizations to produce media. So we look at newsprint. Okay, what is newsprint? जो आपके हाथ में अखबार आता है ना, उसको न्यूज़प्रिंट कहते हैं, जिसपे वो छपता है. देन सैटेलाइट्स. Okay, so these all are also governed by Sea and Custom Acts. It regulated the custom duties and procedures for goods entering and leaving India through its seaports. So if you want to control or if you want to create a hegemony over certain kind of media, you can control the exports. You can charge high custom duties on exports of newsprint. जब हम media case laws देखेंगे, so a very important case law is also related to this act. It was replaced by Sea and Customs Act of 1962. Then in 1885 came Indian Telegraph Act. So there has been a new telecommunication bill, and there are certain provisions which are actually very controversial also. So this can also be a PYQ. We are also going to have a separate videos on several laws like telecommunication bill, and there was a bill related to OTT also in the recent times. So it governed the use of wired and wireless telegraphy, telephones, radio communication and digital. So the new bill, it also includes the digital communications. Okay, so there is an article which is in the description box. I have tried to find an article which is very easy to read, which doesn't use a lot of technical terms, so kindly go through it. Right now just focus on the chronology. It came in 1885 and it was replaced by Telecommunication Bill of 2023. Then came Indian Post Office Act. See, again in 2023 only it has been replaced by another act. So this becomes very important when we look at media law and current affairs. A lot of current affairs can be asked from these topics. So how does this Indian Post Office Act impacts press freedom? So as you all know, a lot of newspapers, they were couriers also, Madras Courier, Bengal Courier. So in the earlier times, post office used to play a very important role in communication. So there were no Section 5 of Indian Telegraph, we are going to discuss about the Telegraph Act also, but this video is related to chronology, so kindly focus on that within for now. So the new Indian Post Office Act, it has a provision in which if the postmaster thinks that some kind of letter or some kind of courier, it is against national security, he or she can actually go through it. So there are certain provisions which are very dangerous also. So Indian Post Office Act, it governs the regulation of postal services in India. So during British era, if the government wanted to punish or demotivate a newspaper, so it used to charge a high duty, postal duty, or if certain newspapers which were very you can say pro British government, they used to get a lot of concession in postal services. So this law also impacted the press freedom. Then 1905, so 1905, a very important event happened in the history of Indian independence, which was the partition of Bengal. I have already talked about all these things in our video lectures in the history of press and newspaper. So a lot of violent uprising, or you can say a lot of protest started happening, and a lot of, you can say, organized protest. So the partition of Bengal in 1905 led to a nationwide agitation. It also shaped the policies of government towards the Indian press. The period of 1908 and to 1935 witnessed the enactment of numerous press legislations to curb the anti-British tone of the Indian press. So a lot of newspapers, Bande Mataram, and like editors like Aurobindo Ghosh, even Bal Gangadhar Tilak, they had, Bal Gangadhar Tilak was even charged with sedition. So 1905 to 1935, you will find a lot of these laws were too punitive, or you can say they were too strict. They were very strict. So Newspaper Act, it was also called incitement to offences. It was passed in British India to impose strict censorship on publication. The act was triggered by extremist national activities during the aftermath of Swadeshi movement. So it was passed by Lord Curzon. This act empowered the magistrate to confiscate press property that published objectionable material. So this law empowered the magistrate to confiscate all the properties only on the idea that if the magistrate thinks that this is against national interest. This act was triggered by national activity during Swadeshi movement. This act was passed in 1908. We have already talked about it. So there were several newspapers like Bande Mataram, Sandhya, Yugantar, they were all banned. Then in 1910 came Indian Press Act. So it was a revision to Vernacular Press Act 1978. ये याद रखना, आपसे direct question पूछा जा सकता है. It was brought into effect to curtail the influence of Indian vernacular and English language, which were newspapers which were supporting the radical Indian nationalism. So it was brought by Lord Minto. So this act was a revision to Vernacular Act that empowered the local. So incitement to offense, it empowered the magistrate. This to confiscate the property. This even empowered local government to demand security at registration from printer and publisher. The law required newspapers to obtain a license from the government in order to publish and gave the government the power to censor. So you will find a lot of similarities also in these two laws. But 1908 it was incitement to offense, and Indian Press Act in 1910. What were the differentiating features? This particular act even empowered the local government, so they can also ask for, you can say, security amounts. Even they can confiscate their printing press. So it was enacted by Lord Minto, who was the viceroy. It was introduced by Lord Ridley. But don't focus too much on these names. You can just remember Lord Minto. Okay. Act already बात कर चुके हैं. Then in 1911 came Indian Patents and Design Act. So when we look at it from the perspective of press media law, you should look at it from the perspective of copyright. So what is copyright? It protects creative works, literary works. So there was also a question, is copyright a industrial property or not? So we are going to discuss about that also in the lecture of copyright. What is industrial patents or design patents? So if there is a new kind of invention, or when we talk about patents or design, we talk about industrial patents, something which can make your life easy. आपने कोई मशीन बनाई है, या आपने कोई इस तरह की इंडस्ट्रियल प्रॉपर्टी क्रिएट करी है जो आपके काम को आसान करती है, आपकी जो लागत है उसको कम करती है. इट ऑल कम्स अंडर इंडियन पेटेंट्स एंड डिज़ाइन एक्ट. सो दीज टू थिंग्स, पेटेंट्स, डिज़ाइन, they all are they sometimes gets overlapped with copyright, but they are different. When we talk about copyright it is actually related to literary or creative work of art, like literature, films, songs, all these things. Okay, so the Indian, बहुत बारी इसको इन्होंने chronology में पूछा है. So this is important from our examination point of view also. It aims to regulate patents and designs, granting protection to the inventors and designers for their innovations and creations. The patent, this was replaced by the Indian Patent Act of 1970. So इसमें confusion रहती है. If they ask you, ये इस बार ही पूछा आपसे Patents Act के बारे में, ठीक है, जो recent 2023 का एग्जाम था, उसके अंदर एक क्वेश्चन में, एक क्रोनोलॉजी के क्वेश्चन में पूछा गया है, उसको हम सॉल्व भी करेंगे. एंड देर विल बी अ टेस्ट ऑल्सो आफ्टर वी कंप्लीट ऑल दीज 4 लेक्चर्स. सो टुमारोज लेक्चर ऑल्सो देर विल बी अ सेपरेट टेस्ट अबाउट ओनली क्रोनोलॉजी. सो इस बार आपसे इंडियन पेटेंट्स एक्ट के बारे में पूछा है. अगर इफ दे राइट द पेटेंट्स एक्ट, सो यू हैव टू कंसिडर द 1971. इफ दे राइट इंडियन पेटेंट्स एंड डिजाइन एक्ट, देन यू विल कंसिडर द 1911. इज इट क्लियर? This might sound confusing. इसमें कोई confusion रखनी ही नहीं है. So this act was replaced by the Patents Act of 1970, जो 1911 में था. इसका नाम था Indian Patents and Design Act. So जो recent आपका क्वेश्चन पेपर था 2023 का दिसंबर में, उसमें Patents Act पूछा गया है chronology में. ठीक है, चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then this becomes very important act. इसके बारे में हम अलग से भी बात करनी पड़ेगी हमें, पर इस अभी क्रोनोलॉजी है तो उसको उस पर्सपेक्टिव से देखिए. ऑफिशियल सीक्रेट्स एक्ट. सो इट एम्स टू सेफगार्ड सेंसिटिव गवर्नमेंट इंफॉर्मेशन एंड प्रिवेंट अनऑथराइज्ड डिस्क्लोजर दैट कुड हार्म नेशनल सिक्योरिटी. दिस ऑल्सो कम्स अंडर आर्टिकल 19(2) जब हम उसकी बात करते हैं रीजनेबल रिस्ट्रिक्शंस की. सो बट देर आर सर्टेन controversial provisions in this article also. so which actually hampers other laws like right to information. ठीक है, उसके बारे में हमको सारी बातें करनी है. वी हैव टू ऑल्सो डिस्कस अबाउट सर्टेन की इंपॉर्टेंट सेक्शन ऑफ दिस लॉ. सो पेटेंट, Sudeshna, usually protects industrial inventions, industrial designs. You have come up with some kind of even applications, so you can get a patent on them. Copyright is something which is on literary works. So if Sudeshna writes a novel, she will have to get a copyright on her novel. But if you invent something, like you invent a new kind of pen or some kind of machinery, some kind of product which has some kind of design, then you are going to apply for a patent. Okay, so 1923 came Official Secrets Act. It aims to safeguard sensitive information. Then एक और बात और है दोस्तों कि ना एग्ज़ाम में मैंने बड़े सारे एक्ट्स ऐसे देखे हैं, लाइक एम्प्लॉय इंश्योरेंस एक्ट, देन इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट एक्ट. ठीक है, वो आपसे बहुत बारी एग्जाम में पूछे हुए हैं, बट आई वुड रिकमेंड ऑल ऑफ यू कि आप इन चक्रों में मत पढ़ना. ठीक है, क्योंकि देर आर मोर देन 850 लॉज एंड सम 480 आर्टिकल्स. आर वी गोइंग टू लर्न ऑल ऑफ देम? इज इट पॉसिबल टू लर्न ऑल ऑफ देम? नो ना. सो यू हैव टू look at it from the perspective of media law. You have to look at it from the perspective of press freedom, how certain kind of laws are related to media law or press freedom. Okay, अगर एक क्वेश्चन है, 200 क्वेश्चन में सिर्फ एक क्वेश्चन ऐसा है जो आपसे इंडस्ट्रियल डिस्प्यूट एक्ट के बारे में पूछ रहे हैं, सो यू कैन नॉट लर्न more than 800 laws and some 450 articles. Now we are not learning, we are not law students, we are journalism and mass communication students. So I'm also going to solve a question. So recent year में 2 क्वेश्चन पूछे थे chronology से, and one question was related to industrial dispute act or employee insurance act. So all these laws you cannot learn, but I won't say leave them. You will have to learn them through PYQs. So they will all be included in our PYQ test. Okay, there will be detailed explanations also, but I'm purposely not including them here because it will become too overwhelming. Then आप इतना ही नहीं लर्न कर पाओगे जो इंपॉर्टेंट है, एग्जाम में पूछा जा रहा है. अगर मैं वो भी डाल दूंगा then it will become too hodgepodge. Okay, so kindly look at them from the perspective of media, from the perspective of press freedom, how these laws are affecting the smooth working of media. So जब हम सी एंड कस्टम एक्ट की बात करते हैं, there is a certain you can say case study और case law. जब हम लैंडमार्क जजमेंट्स के बारे में बात करेंगे, किस तरह से वो लॉ प्रेस फ्रीडम को अफेक्ट करता है. और when we talk about Indian Patent and Design Act, it affects copyright also. It is related to copyright. So the laws which are related to media are important for us. But if there are any law, don't leave anything. Go through them through PYQs. ठीक है, चलिए. Then dear students, then post independence. So जब हम हिस्ट्री ऑफ जर्नलिज्म की बात कर रहे थे, वी वर ऑल्सो टॉकिंग अबाउट द रोल ऑफ मीडिया. एनटीए की खुद की क्रोनोलॉजी, यस, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन खत्म हो गए ना, वो क्या बार बार ये पूछते रहेंगे. सो दे हैव टू ब्रिंग न्यू लॉज. So there are more than 800 laws and some more than 450, I guess 480 articles, near about 480, I'm forgetting the exact number, in your constitution. Can you learn all of them? Nobody can learn all of them. So आपके 100 क्वेश्चन में से 10 क्वेश्चन ऐसे होते हैं which even your professor won't know about them. I'm telling you, इतनी बार गलत भी होते हैं. Focus on the rest 80-90 questions. ठीक है, जो फाउंडेशंस है, जो आपके अप्रोच के अंदर है, वो, और कुछ छोड़ो मत. मैं कह रहा हूँ लर्न अबाउट एवरीथिंग थ्रू PYQs. ठीक है. देन टिल 1947 द रोल ऑफ मीडिया वॉज वेरी क्लियर. इट वॉज एक्टिंग एज अ टूल, और यू कैन से इट वॉज वॉइसिंग द वॉइस ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस. बट एक बार 1947 में जब आज़ादी मिल गई, देन फॉर द फर्स्ट 5-6 years media was also confused. Now what shall we do? So you will find a lot of cases where it was where it started hampering the public order also. So post 1947 till 1991, media will play the role of nation builder through all the laws also. Okay, till 1947 to 1991, you will find all the laws which will act as which will empower media, or which will improve the working of media, okay, so that media can act as a nation builder. And post 91, it will be a regulatory body. So in the next lecture, we are going to cover from 1950 to 2024. We shall cover all the laws. So we are looking at just chronology. Your homework is, you have to go through 4 articles. I have mentioned 4 articles in the description box of this lecture, which are very important. So I am also going to add 3 more. So there are 7-8 new laws which have been enacted in the last 6 months.